All right, for more on the 13th Malaysian general elections, let's speak to political analyst Khoo Peng, and he's with the Strategic Consulting and Investment Management arm of the IM3 Group. Thank you very much for joining us here. Okay, the list is out, BN's list is out. Prime Minister Najib, looking as if he's taking the surprise element out of nomination day, what do you think is his strategy here?
Glenda, I think every seat means something to Barisan Nasional today. So that's why he had to make early announcement on the nomination, so no surprises crop up. Like what we have seen today, demonstrations by candidates were not chosen. And that, I think, will give him a lot of time to be able to quell dissatisfaction over people who are not being nominated, so that Barisan Nasional can then regroup, consolidate and focus on the campaign. I think that's what he wants to do.
Okay, so 50% of the candidates are fresh faces, 80% in fact in Selangor are new. Is this an attempt to bring in newer voters? Well, younger voters perhaps?
New is a big word here. New may not mean young. Right? It's something that I think we have got to take note of. And second thing is that not entirely as well. I think what Prime Minister Najib is trying to do is to ease off tension, especially on faces that are coming with their own baggage on their own, by replacing them with newer, fresher candidates. But at the same time, try to retain some of the old faces whom he thinks are winnable as well. People like Ong Kachuan, Azalina Othman, two of the names that we thought would be replaced, but they have been retained. Interestingly, I think there are a number of other candidates as well that we can talk of. Yeah.
So do you think this strategy will work?
It will, to a certain extent, because leaders, with baggage and with controversies swirling around their head have already been replaced. But I'm not too sure, how that will pan out. I think what he is definitely doing is not something transformational. It's not something really a big surprise for all of us. He's trying to actually balance out the two, which is very important.
Okay, well, let's look at the opposition. Is there a sense that they are perhaps maybe running their own race, or are they going to react to BN's candidates here?
No, it's tough. I mean, looking at how they themselves are fighting over allocation of seats, it's not so easy to just replace candidate based on what the Barisan Nasional have announced. I think they would have been, they would have actually suspected that certain individual will be placed in certain seats. And for that kind of strategy, to place the right candidate taking on the other candidate, they have done that. So at this moment, it's really difficult for them to make any other crucial movements.
All right, let's talk about some of the issues that have come up so far since the election was announced. What stood out for you?
Well, I think the biggest thing of all is actually incumbency. We are talking about a ruling regime has been ruling for the past 57 years. And I think that is something that is going to be a challenge for the Barisan Nasional to continue to convince people that it's still a regime of choice. But it's still very convincing for a regime that have won 12 straight fights. Number two is the issue of corruption. I think that has definitely been the main garnishing on the plate for the opposition to move forward. And third, there are a number of controversies. They are going to be mined on both sides. BN are going to play with the controversies as well. Of course, the dirty word, the sex videos and etc. It's going to come up. I think more are going to come up. And I think the most important thing is on the distribution of wealth and resources issue. If you look at the manifesto of both parties, it doesn't resemble the manifesto of the past. The manifesto this year, this election, spells out things that they're going to give to the people in very direct terms. So I see that as something very interesting. They're really moving to the center, very centrist, very populist. By the end of the day, is to address very important component, the wealth and resource redistribution.
Okay, speaking of wealth, let's look at Johor. That's quite a good wealthy state there. Gelang Patah, where DAP big gun here, Lim Kik Siang, meeting outgoing Johor Chief Minister Abdul Ghani. There seems to be some controversy there, a little bit there now. Tell us about that.
Well, I think Kik Siang did not expect that, Barisan Nasional is going to pull out a rabbit from the hat and put Abdul Ghani there as a candidate. That's why, days ago, he criticized the MCA for running away from the seat. But it was a very strategic move by UMNO. Putting Ghani, a guy or a man who has 23 years of experience in the state, leading the state as the chief minister, well respected, and that is going to lock up Kik Siang in Gelang Patah, basically fighting for his own political life. Then that is going to ease off the campaign hit on other constituencies where DAP are actually fielding younger candidates. Yeah.
But what about we heard just now the comment Choi Sok-lik saying that the opposition's not interested about the economy and instead they want to govern the day-to-day lives of the people. What do you make of that there?
Well, I mean, Choi Sok-lik at this moment, I mean, if I were him,
and he's not running as well.
Yeah, he's not running, and if I were him, I would definitely be putting up the same kind of thing. But I think to look at it, I mean, the two coalitions actually do not differ too much on the economic policies. Both are proponents of the free market. Both are very pro-development. They're pro-business. So I'm not going to see. I don't see any much difference.
So
from
both
that.
sides won't do anything to destroy what's
No,
already
they won't
there.
actually. They won't do anything to destroy in Malaysia's open economy. I think it's going to be pretty much remain the same.
All right, there are some citizens who are taking it on to themselves to encourage Malaysians to go home and vote. And let me get this right if I can't speak Malay, but the slogan Jom Balik Undi. And there are even airlines and buses are giving discounted rates. Is this something unusual this time for this election season?
It's definitely quite unusual. On the airline part, it's purely commercial actually. But on the part of people, activists abroad, putting on, getting on a campaign to get Malaysians to come back, is basically a response to the call of Bersih. That wants to, the organization wants to see the turnout of more than 80%. The turnout was 72.4% in the last elections. And the fear of phantom voters lurking in this election has made Bersih to call out for activists abroad to get Malaysians to come and vote.
All right, just one very quick last question. But by doing that, they're saying that, the overseas voters usually vote for the opposition there.
Not necessarily so.
Okay. All right, not necessarily so. All right, thank you very much, that political analyst Khoo Peng on the Malaysian elections.
All right, still ahead here on Primetime Asia tonight. Buyers in Thailand sniffing out a bullion bargain as gold prices fall.
And to the crowd.